In this video, we'll look at another example about the hurricane, tropical storm, from our homework 3. So first, let's look at our first question. So, in August 2012, tropical storm Isaiah formed in the Caribbean and was headed for the Gulf of Mexico. There was an initial probability of 0.69 that Isaiah would become a hurricane by the time it reached to the Gulf of Mexico. So the question is, what's the 0.69 probability for? So let's read the question again. Let's read the statement again. There was an initial probability of 0.69 that Isaiah would become a hurricane by the time it reached to the Gulf of Mexico. So obviously, the 0.69 is the probability for the hurricane. So we use the H, the initial letter of a hurricane, to label the event of a hurricane. So the probability of a hurricane is 0.69. And the first question is, what was the probability that Isaiah would not become the hurricane, but remain a tropical storm when it reached to the Gulf of Mexico? So if it is not a hurricane, so definitely it will be a tropical storm. So given we know the probability of H is 0.69, and H hurricane and tropical storm. H and tropical storm, they are complement event. So now you should know the probability of tropical storm is equal to 1 minus 0.69. So we got 0.31 is probability of tropical storm. Now let's look at second question. 2 days later, the National Hurricane Center projected the path of the Isaiah would pass directly over Cuba before reaching the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricane that reached the Gulf of Mexico had a 0.08 probability of having passed over Cuba. Tropical storm that reached the Gulf of Mexico have a 0.2% of having passed off Cuba. And so, it asking for, given the probability of H, given it is hurricane, what is the probability for the storm will pass Cuba? And the second, given it is tropical storm, what is the probability for it will pass Cuba? So obviously, in question B, we have the new information coming to this case. That is, the storm can pass the Cuba or not pass the Cuba. So the first statement here, we got 0.08. So what's that? Hurricane that reached the Gulf of Mexico have the 0.8 probability of having passed over Cuba. So which means we know this already been a hurricane, and what will be the probability for it to pass the Cuba? So which means for the 0.08 is talking about the conditional probability given H, given it's a hurricane, and the probability to pass Cuba is 0.08. Therefore, the probability of H given Cuba is 0.08. So the next question is, if it is a tropical storm, given it is a tropical storm, what will be the probability for it to pass by the Cuba? So if you look at the question here, second statement, tropical storm that reached the Gulf of Mexico have 20% probability of having passed over Cuba. So obviously, here the answer will be 0.2. So the last question is asking for what is the probability given it is will pass the Cuba, what is the probability it will be the hurricane? So the last question is asked for, given it passed by Cuba, what is the probability for the hurricane? So you can find these two have the relationship. How can we flip the H and C? So obviously we need to use Bayes theory. Given the Bayes theory, we know the Bayes theory equal to the flipped the questions to event times the probability of H, the probability of the condition, times, since we know the hurricane and tropical storm, they are complement event, so we will use the probability C given H times probability of H plus the probability of C given T times probability of what? Probability of T. And if we add these two together, we will have the probability of C intercept of H divided by the probability of C. So that's what we want to have. So now we can just directly plug in the value. So the probability of C given H, we know it's 0.08 times the probability of H, and we know it's 0.69, and divide by probability C given H. So that is 0.08 times 0.69 plus probability C given T, so that is 0.2 times the probability of T we just calculated here, so times 0.31. So if you have a calculator, so you can calculate the final result.